Hi lovelies. So today we begin a new 20-day cycle, and I've had lots of interesting downloads for information around how to use this really powerfully. I'm inside today, usual English weather, pretty cloudy, and again with English summer, it's just recognizing the patterns that it creates and how that influences our behaviour. And this is absolutely key to everything. So, where are we today? We are here. And so we're on Red Lunar Dragon with the Mayan calendar. Just to recap, so we've got 20 Mayan signs, and we run the spiral up and down until we reach the end, which is a 260-day cycle, which is the Venus cycle, and it's also a human gestation cycle. So it's a way of reconnecting us to who we really are, and that is very crucial at this time and what we are here for. So each one of these signs has a different vibration, a different tone, as they're called, which runs from 1 to 13. So the key numbers are 20, which is, this is the 20 circuit. So you're going always from Red Dragon, number 1, what the Great Mother is bringing us for our conscious evolution. And it's Neptune today, which we'll come back to in a minute. Running down to Yellow Sun, which is how we hold more light through transforming our shadow. Planet is Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn, of course, at the moment, at the latest degrees. And we'll shift into Aquarius next year, 2023. So this constant process that we go through, again, is very interesting, because if you look at the numbers as well, so they follow on. And so all of these numbers are in a 20-day spiral. So again, if you miss a line, you can see that they follow in the normal number sequence. So all of this is very interesting stuff. And over a period of time, things intuitively pop into your mind as to how to use this and how to apply it to your own code as well, which is of primary importance for those who are wanting to become conscious dreamers, conscious creators, is understanding the patterns, how the patterns work. Lots of conversations with my mum about that this morning, and just seeing how those patterns are playing out. The more we become wise about the patterns and understand our own personal code, the more we can work with it to bring everything out of the unconscious into the conscious, so that we literally become conscious creators and we recognize what is good and happy for human beings and what is not. Stop doing what is not. Sounds simple, I know. And how our body is wired, how our addictions are wired, how our patterns are, it isn't as easy as that. And it takes work and it takes discipline. So you just have to buckle up and take the small steps every day. And most importantly, do the emotional healing to get clear and get free. So each one of these columns we go through 13 times till we get to the end. And so in the first column, this is the initiation with Red Dragon. The first one, it's grey. It's an Akashic record. All of these are DNA, Akashic record, ancestral patterning gateways that we can plug into. And the more that we understand, the more that we start to work consciously, the more we see the patterns. And instead of falling down the hole, we walk past the hole And eventually we don't need to go down that street at all. I'm sure you're familiar with that story. But until then, we keep falling down the hole. Okay, so it is just becoming very aware, and most importantly, not doing the behavior that harms us. But it is so deeply ingrained on a cellular level that this takes determination and inner work, inner healing. So we began here on the 19th of May in Taurus energy, Taurus sun, and we worked our way through right down this column, through the red dragon 13 days, into the white wizard 7 days there, and then up onto the next column, the remainder of white wizard into blue hand, 13 days of that. And now we're in yellow sun, and we're on day 2 of that. So we're in the last 13-day process. So remember, each process, each castle, the red castle of awakening that initiates us, has red dragon, white wizard, blue hand, and yellow sun. And they all take us through a process of awakening to what the Great Mother is bringing us, all our empowerment issues coming out, our resistance to what is. Everything is about the resistance to what is story, and how to go into flow with that. Shaping our destiny through healing with blue hand, reaching our full blue avatar potentiality. So stepping out of the old wounding story, stepping into the adventure. And then when we get to yellow sun, we're seeing how much light we can hold. And so each one of these processes, if you have mapped your code, if you are 52 plus, you can map all of them. If you're younger than that, you can map some of them, and you can consciously work with how to rewire things so that your future literally changes because you heal your past, you become more present, and so you step into a whole new way of being a human being. Then you can also map these. So intuitively, that's what came up for me today. So I've been mapping the 52 regular codes, but now I'm doing the 20-day cycles as well. That has just been mind-blowing today, just totally wow, as to what that means for me. So in terms of where I am in the yellow, let's go back down here, which began here. So I've mapped my code. I know every time a yellow 13-day process comes around, it's from me being 5 years old to 17 years old. So if you're really wanting to work on a deep level, seeing what's coming up for you, I mean, this is how wow this is. This is how magical this is. A lot of people really don't get it, just how this is the universe. This is your universe right here on this chart, and of course beyond that, knowing what's going on with the universe, with the astrology as well. It's just totally mind-blowing how you can work with this stuff. Yes, I've been doing it for in my 11th year, and I've been doing emotional healing longer than that, 15 years. Understanding psychology for 30 years. And still very much learning, and that's the key to everything, isn't it? So this can really help you understand yourself, and that's why you're here. You are here to be you and rewire you as a conscious dreamer so that you can create a new beginning for yourself, Jupiter in Aries now, and also for everyone else through your own process, through healing your family line. I use emotional freedom technique, and it works, and it doesn't happen overnight. It does take time, but it works. And of course, things can't just change just like that, because we're tied into so many different things, different people, different systems. We don't stand independently. We are all connected, And so what we do affects everybody else. And so we cannot go outside of that remit either. So it can be tricky at times. So today we are Red Lunar Dragon. And so we're beginning the third 20-day process. So the first process really is about what the Great Mother is bringing us, 19th of May, Taurus, what is manifest. The second process is the new learning around that. So by then we're going into Gemini energy. And now we're in Cancer energy. And so Cancer is the fourth house, as I said in the last video, and we're going into a fourth year. Now, I think I said in the last video a mistake, so I apologise for that. As I said at the time, I've been struggling around trying to keep my head in the time zone, because it's all a bit spacey back in Glastonbury and Avebury and the solstice and all of that. The goddess energy coming back in. So the fourth year that we're going into of this 13-year cycle of the moon goddess, empowerment, letting the magic flow through us, begins on the 26th of July, and it's red self-existing moon. And I am going to be doing an event for that. So if you're interested, please do get in touch. Red self-existing moon was 1970. So if you were born then, if you were around, think back to what was happening for you then. And I was 5 years old at that time. So Cancer time is about the fourth house. It's about the home. It's about the midnight place in the bottom of the chart, and how we are climbing up like a seed planted. You know, we're climbing up and out, and of course lots of things coming in about that now, really shocking things for many different reasons, around what's going on in the USA, for example, around the abortion laws, family, home, birth, and that womb space, that sacred womb space, and what that means to everybody in their own particular way. And it's a hugely charged subject, and one that each person has their own particular view on for their own reasons. So it's not easy for us to come to some easy solution around this. But remember, all of these things are happening now to bring this awareness to everybody. Often, you know, things stay stuck for a long time and there's no energy going in there. We're just gliding along unconsciously. So things do have to happen to take us to the next level and start a discussion, start a debate, just bring it to conscious awareness, basically. So at this Cancer time, at the moment as I'm making this, so this is Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, and the moon, the dark moon, has just gone into Cancer. And so literally not even 1 degree as I'm making this. The new moon is going to be at 7 degrees on the 29th at 03:52 British summer time. So that's tomorrow. So again, the energy that we're going to be in for that is going to be white electric wind. And that's really the alchemy. So again, this whole thing is about alchemy of these first two. What the Great Mother is bringing us, what we've learned about our survival issues, and again, our bodies, our sovereignty, male and female, whatever age we are, you know, all of this going on the planet now, this complete upheaval around what we thought existed, what we have based our beliefs on, wherever we live in the world, it's all different. And now surprises coming up around changes, and what that means for people. So again, it's this huge emotional part is being stirred around birth and life and motherhood. And of course, Cancer is about motherhood. It's about how we mother and nurture ourselves in a healthy way now, instead of being codependent and instead of doing anything that harms us. And again, because of the programming that's gone on for a very long time, this can be very, very difficult to even become consciously aware of this. But this is happening now. So this particular 20-day cycle will take us through the new moon tomorrow, and we'll run right the way down here. So again, the third one in, 1, 2, 3, is yellow galactic sun, which is very important because it's a clear sign. And it's also the sign of Pakal Votan, whose tomb was found in 1952 at the Temple of Inscriptions in Palenque, where the sarcophagus is not only of him, but later it was discovered the Red Queen and all the inscriptions of the 13 clear signs, which gives a process and a formula for what we need to do as human beings to be the Red Skywalker. Now, this is a very powerful process, this 20 days. And so for me, like I say, I matched the code. And this is taking me right from being 18, because that's always any red 13-day process, it takes me from being 18 to 30. And so in terms of astrologically, that's my North Node in Gemini, and taking me to my Saturn return at 30 years old. And the second 20 days is from 38 to 57, so that's till now. And then the third row that we've just begun today is 2023 till 2042. So that takes me from 58 to 77. Now, this is the mind-blowing stuff about how to work with this. It may sound gobbledygook to you to begin with, but once you start doing this process, you can become so enlightened about your own personal journey. It is wow. And that's the whole purpose of it, is to help us to navigate those that are choosing to realize that they are not this conditioned mindset program story, and are waking up and are going beyond that now and really starting to work with that on a deep level. That is the tool that has been created for this time, so that we can change ourselves and change the world through doing that process. Because once we become more aware about the biology of belief, to use Bruce Lipton's terms, and use energy therapies like emotional freedom technique, it's mind-blowing how quickly we can change the way we feel about what's happened to us so far, change our mindset, which we were in before with Virgo, the previous 260-day cycle, change our Akashic record, which was the previous one before that. And now we're seeing what is manifest. We're learning about how we manifest that and how we want to keep certain things, and how we want to rewire ourselves more in order to create heaven on earth for us. So in terms of this last 13-day process that we're on day 2 of, we are going to begin a new 52-day process that adds on to this. And this is going to be, I have written it down somewhere. Right, just hang on a sec. I thought I'd written it down somewhere. Yes, it's the 10th of July. It's on moon 13, cosmic moon, day 14, so a full moon energy there. So if you would like to join me, if you are a mature woman, and so by that I mean a woman who is willing to take full responsibility for their own creative journey, really wants to work on a deep level around finding out about code, how to look deeply into it, understand family constellations, for example, family patterning, and most importantly, wanting to heal this, because as a blue hand, this is how I help other people shape their destiny. Because in Lakesh, you are another me. Always the women that I work with, that's why I work with women, are another me. And so I can help you because I'm very skilled at doing this. But ultimately, it's about me showing you how to help yourself and showing you the tools so that you build your own skills, so that you are self-existing and not codependent. So do contact me. I can only do this for a very small number of people because it takes a lot of work for me and coding. And also, it's got to align with that person if it's the right time for them as well. Okay, so I'm also going to talk about the astrology as well today. So today, Neptune has stations. So we're talking about Red Dragon, which is Neptune, also White Mirror. Each of the Mayan signs is twinned with another one. And so today we have got Neptune is stationing retrograde at 25 degrees of Pisces. And so we're going to be going over old ground around this energy. So Neptune is a very powerful esoterical planet, and it can also be, for the uninitiated and for people who aren't doing their healing work, it can be a huge, vast energy of delusion and illusion as well. It can be about fantasy and magic. It can also be foggy, mind fog. In terms of tapping, it can be where we've got trauma that we're still holding, and this causes a lot of confusion and disassociation. For example, we don't want to feel the feelings around what has happened to us over our lifetime, and so often we'll find ways to avoid that and using addictive behavior coming out of our body as well, trying to get high, trying to not feel. So again, a lot of things on planet Earth that are happening are around this energy of trying not to look at what's going on because it's too scary, because we can't cope with it, it's too much for us. Again, as women, often we're in situations historically over millennia where we're looking after ill people, we're looking after physically ill, mentally ill people, we're looking after situations that we don't feel we can extricate ourselves from, out of some belief around duty of care, loyalty to the family, ancient egoic traps. And for those that are ready to break those, again, this can be very challenging around not doing codependent, not trying to rescue people, live their life for them, go faster than what's actually happening, you know, so not being present because trying to predict things, trying to get readings or make plans that are out of alignment with truth, trying to force things. So just very important to go to the feelings instead wherever possible. And of course, people aren't going to do that if they don't have a tool. They'll use other tools to try and cope. And the more that people can learn about tapping, emotional freedom technique, it doesn't have any side effects apart from it might make you feel a bit tired, a need to relax, a need to look after yourself, that type of energy. It's not going to make you ill. So at this dark moon time, it's really important to tune in and look at how to slow down, how to connect to the earth at this time, how to feel our feelings. And with Jupiter in Aries, of course, going back to, I moved to Glastonbury back then in 2011. And what were you doing back then? What was your big new beginnings area of life? Because that will be coming around again for you. And the more that you know your pattern and your code, the more you can recognize it as well. And the more you can start to pick up on other family members. So your mum, your grandmother, you can see whose story you're living. And that can give you great insights as well, of also on a very healing level, around trusting that this is a process that we come here for. Instead of blaming yourself, instead of feeling angry or frustrated at choices that we've made. Often these are unconscious, they're programmed in, and that doesn't have to stay the way that it is. Of course, we cannot change the past per se, but we can change how we feel about it and really come into peace. So with this new moon, this is going to be happening in the early hours. So today we are really going into that dark energy. Tune in, meditate if you can, have some quiet time, do some tapping on what's been coming up. The more we tap, the more we release the triggers, the more we get clarity about the triggers, we understand what's created that situation. And the more clarity and freedom we can have from going down that same path again, because we realize and take responsibility for what choices we've made, and know that, you know, you can't just pull the wool over your eyes time and time again. You know, it's going to have the same outcome. So we've got to be true to ourselves and keep taking those steps forward. So the sun at 7 degrees of Cancer, so again, this really ties in with Blue Hand, is squaring Jupiter in Aries at 7 degrees. So both of these are Blue Hand shaping our destiny. I'm just going to read you the degrees. Okay, so Cancer at 7, the Arctic wasteland under the setting sun, envisioning a way of life that is both utopian and practical, dreaming of a very different mix in the socio-cultural shared life, motivated by the knowledge, the clear sensing that all of this can be and must be, wide open to the limitless cosmos. Nominated or appointed to restore the total view, you are gifted exquisitely with an uncompromising truth sense that cleaves to what can be illuminated by the infinite. And you are most dramatically mobilized to spread this realization everywhere you go, having known forever the way it really is, yet zealously drawn back into time to fertilize the ordinary landscape. All facets of life must partake of the bounty, and only then can we rest assured that we've done our part and followed the pulse of universal conscience where it naturally leads. So that's a bit wow, isn't it? You know, that's a bit epic. 7 degrees of Aries. A double-headed eagle, the heads face in opposite directions. Just want to say before we go on, I have seen this at Michael's Mount in Cornwall, and this is a huge alchemical symbol. Two completely separate identities can be lived at once. What is foremost to be mentally prepared, vigilantly watchful and intent upon moving straight on and not looking back. Your alter ego, your double, your nemesis, shadow and friend is seeing life through the rearview mirror, completely enwrapped in the diametrically opposite world to the one consciously pursued. The forefront awareness sustains admirably and avidly its directional instinct for which way is forward from here. Your subconscious shadow self is equally devoted to seeing, knowing, and instrumenting the backward gaze, the obstructive momentum. Living along this edge hones a sensibility, clarifies things immensely, if ever both ends are claimed, honoured, and given their due. It's a challenge and an adventure to be rabidly dual, a karmic crossroads with immense struggle and conflict and power. It contains a deep down gnawing hunger for resolution and reconciliation and integration, so elusive, so unattainable, and yet so needed and sought in the destiny reckoning that refuses to stay split, whatever it will take to fuse the bipolar visions into unity. Wow. Okay, so we've also got Black Moon Lilith is conjunct the new moon as well. And we've got Venus is in sextile with Aries at 7 degrees of Gemini. So again, knowing where these are in your chart will illuminate, will shed light on how this is going to impact on you. Very important to set goals at this time and to realise that, 6 months of completion when we'll be in full moon in Cancer will be at the winter solstice time. Once we're in the northern hemisphere, that will be in the winter, and so seeing where we're going to be at that Capricorn energy at the time of the illumination and the light of Christ consciousness on one level. So setting these goals, Venus, remember, is the key with the dream spell. Maturation process, growing up, getting our big girl pants on and doing what it takes to rescue ourselves and making those onward steps every day and being gentle with ourselves when we don't accomplish everything. So again, recognizing that if we just start a different, slightly different trajectory, by the time we've done 260 steps, with started off with just a tiny little degree at the beginning, but by the time we're going to be somewhere completely different. And that step has to start within, with the healing, with all the trigger processes. On a very simple level, we're always shown with the triggers. We know what our stuff is. We know what our story is. And all of these other tools just helps us gain further clarity and magic coming in to allow the grace of it all. We chose to come here and do this storyline. So we have to work with what there is and focusing on how we are going to birth the new earth through our own magical healing and adventure. And yes, it is very challenging at times. And the more that we get clear, the more courage we have to do this path. And because what choice do we have? We're here right now. There's so much wonder on planet Earth. There's so many amazing things. We're remembering so much at this time that although there are very challenging things happening, going on, there always have been for human beings. That's the thing to remember. It's just becoming more in the light of day now. It's more obvious, although again, to some people, they don't want to see it, they don't want to handle it, they want the magic pill, that's just going to solve everything. And as we know, that does not work. We have to make the changes that we need to make to move ourselves out of situations, whether that is environmentally, whether that's the people that we're around. By the time we get to midlife, we're very well aware of what bugs us, are we not? So time to work with that now. Let's see, have I got anything else to say about this 20-day cycle? So like I say, for me, it's going to be starting off today. It's going to be my birthday coming up this year. Sorry, next year, it's going to be 58. So all this 20-day cycle, on one level, I can be working with the future, what I want to create, and very much now, that's what it is, you know, making a new life for myself because my children are grown and having their own life. And as much as I want to protect them and live their life for them through my wisdom, at times I know that that is not healthy for them, that they are here to do their own trip and they're fully capable of it as well. And they see the world completely differently to me on many levels. So today it's going back to Ix, White Wizard, the 13-year cycle that we're in, the moon goddess of death and rebirth, what's coming up for a rebirth, what needs to be surrendered to. Let go of resistance to what is, as much as we don't like it. We're not saying that it's true. We're not saying it's good for us. We're not saying it's right. Again, that's very much the theme of this new moon, what feels right and what is morally right. Challenging formats to look at there. The more that we come into acceptance that there's a hell of a lot of damage on planet Earth around human beings and their behaviour because of what's happened before. And that is especially true for us as well. So we're all operating from a place of mental illness and distortion on some level and looking to correct that and heal that within ourselves so that we can come into alignment with the truth, the universal truth, what is right for everyone, and to come into remembering that we are all one on every level, energetically. We all want to be loved and respected for who we are. And again, this is so tricky to navigate through around what is morally right. So we've all got different perspectives on that. And at the same time, most children know what the truth is, and they come in, and it isn't something that we know with our head either. So the heart is the key, the spirit is the key, allowing that to guide us. So today we have got the Hierophant. I'll post a link, huge card, number 5, Mastery. So much on there. These are amazing cards. And what we're here for at this time is the age of Taurus, the age of Aquarius coming in. And so I picked 3 other cards. So we've got the Queen of Swords. Sovereignty is key for mindset. Remember what we went through in the last 260 days, from the 1st of September to the 18th of May. What did you go through around re-evaluating your mindsets? Because the mind is a tricky little monkey, isn't it? You know, it'll often have us barking up the wrong tree, going around in circles, doing things because we're in the comfort zone, because somebody else wants us to do it, blah, 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 all of that. Mastering our mind is the key, not our mind mastering us. Prince of Discs, there's the bull. Are we being a bull in a china shop? Are we being stubborn? Notice that. How can we be practical? Slow down, ground. And another 5, which is the 5 of Cups, disappointment. What happens to us when we feel disappointed, when our will is thwarted, when we cannot do what we want to do? That's a very interesting exercise. Think about times recently when you felt disappointed and you couldn't do what you wanted to do and how that made you feel. And if you know how to tap on that, see where it goes, pick out the threads, and notice how right now our childhood is showing up everywhere, as it does our whole life. We're simply playing out our childhood story over and over again. And this is how it can become more and more magical and innocent and connected, having intimacy, playing, clowning, laughing, just being our beautiful being self, rather than some constructs that our society has moulded us into. We can be whoever we want to be. That's the key. We have the power to do that. So I hope you have an amazing 20-day cycle. If you want to know about your personal codes, if you want to know more about how to work with this energy, if you want to join me for the next 52-day process, which is coming up on the 10th of July, if you want to join me for the new year, the Mayan New Year, on the 26th of July, and you're ready to work magically with this system, which is wow, and is very much needed at this time. If you'd like one of these, if you'd like a free consultation, then I'll post all the links underneath. I hope you're having an amazing summer wherever you are. Lots of love.